We're on a mission to feed the future by helping farmers worldwide be more resilient, more productive, more sustainable for generations to come. Corteva Agriscience. Keep growing.
It's time for RealAg Radio on Rural Radio Channel 147 on Sirius XM. RealAg Radio and RealAgriculture.com is your home for insight and analysis of the issues that are impacting your farm business. Let's get real and get connected with RealAg Radio. Welcome to RealAg Radio here on Rural Radio 147, Sirius XM. Shaun Haney, your host here on this Thursday edition of this show. Thanks so much, everybody, for making RealAg Radio and, of course, Rural Radio 147 a big part of your workday. Also, of course, big shout out to everybody listening out there on the RealAg Radio podcast. Today's show is brought to you by Corteva and their cross-spectrum herbicides. Checking all the boxes for cereal growers, cross-spectrum herbicides deliver grass and broadleaf weed control in a powerful all-in-one solution. You can learn more by going to Corteva.ca. Today on the Farmer Rapid Fire, speaking of Corteva, we'll be joined by Linda Hinz, who is out of northern Saskatchewan. Looking forward to talking to Linda. We got Charlene Wattam out of Ontario. We got Byrne out of Ontario. We got Devon Walker out of Saskatchewan. And Aubrey Yule is out of Manitoba. So great lineup of growers, and looking forward to hearing how they're making out with seeding and planting and getting ready for in-crop and all those kinds of fun things. Now, you can send me an email. Give me your feedback, shaney@realagriculture.com, or, of course, you can call the RealAg feedback line, 855-776-6147. And let's start off this week's Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Corteva in Renfrew, Ontario. We're talking to Charlene Wattam. Hey, Charlene, how are we doing?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. You enjoying this spring weather? It's been a little chilly out your way.
It's a bit of a roller coaster this year. It's like if it's not 30 degrees out, it's like single digits. It's just all over the place.
Yeah. So how are the crops looking?
The wheat pastures and hay are looking good. Spring grains are emerging. A lot of corn in this immediate neck of the woods, I think, still has to go in the ground. And not a lot of beans in yet either, I don't think.
Yeah, well, one thing we have heard is how good the wheat looks in Ontario.
It is really hopping along now. It's just perfect wheat weather, right? It likes it cooler and damper, and it just keeps going, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. How about some of the livestock? How are things there?
Well, we actually have sold the majority of our livestock animals.
When did this happen?
About, I guess, 10 months ago. Just getting to be a little too difficult. Ryan's having some challenges with his back with, lifetime of farming and vibrating equipment and trying to, do what you can physically. It takes a toll. So we had to kind of make a call on what was going to be the best choice for our life going forward, and livestock is not going to be in the cards, I don't think.
Not an easy decision.
No, definitely not. It was definitely something that took some time for us to figure out what we were going to do, but I think it's going to be the right direction for us. We'll give it a few years anyways, and we can always change and go back, right?
Yeah. So how does that change things on the farm then? Like what are, I guess, 8-10 months into this, what do you notice?
A lot more free time.
All of a sudden being a cropper doesn't look too bad, does it?
Well, just, time you didn't even realize you were spending, right? Those little jobs you have every day really do add up. So, it is giving us a little bit more free time, which, is appreciated with the kids growing up, and nice to spend some time and be able to make some good memories with them.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, what have you been doing with your free time?
We have taken a vacation, which is exciting. our first like full family, everybody going away vacation. So that was really good. And it was excellent. So looking forward to doing a little bit more of that and trying to enjoy things a little bit.
Okay. So talk about the corn planting, and that's underway, but there's still quite a bit to go on the ground.
So, well, there's spots that are almost done and spots that have barely started. It's just been really, really patchy where people were getting the good weather, they went right at it. And then there's other spots where it's just been a challenge to even get going.
Really? That soil's just not quite fit.
Yeah. Like I was talking to a friend in Prince Edward County, and she said, where they've got the heavier ground is actually better because it's been systematically tiled and they've been able to plant it. But the ground that just has, a bit of tile here or there, or lighter ground that you kind of think, oh, I don't need tile. It's just been so rainy consistently. They just haven't been able to do much. Yeah,
that can be frustrating, especially as we get to the back end of May.
Yeah, definitely, guys, looking at the calendar, I think. But, I mean, we had a great fall last fall, so there is a lot more winter wheat in the ground, and I think people are quite happy for those acres for sure.
Yeah, and you said not a lot of soybeans in at all?
Not a lot. I wouldn't say much more than 50% anyways, in some places much less than that, so...
What's kind
we got time on that.
Yeah, for sure. And what's the general kind of consensus, and just what's the mood in the area as you talk to some of your fellow farming peers?
I think everybody just is keeping on. Yeah, like there's always jobs to do, and you just do the best you can with the where the spots are right, and then you got to be patient. So, I mean, it's a little frustrating, but it's nothing we haven't seen before. So,
yeah. Do you find it hard to execute patience? I do.
I am a fairly patient person myself. So, so I kind of you just got to wait. You can't rush it, because we've all seen getting into a rush and you end up making a mess of things, and those messes stick with you for a long time.
At least for the season, for sure. Well, and the thing is, rushing planting, it's the one that really hurts. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's the one, like you said, it just shows up the entire growing season, and you're just like, why did I do that? Other things we do through the growing season, like if maybe they're not as noticeable, the mistakes. I don't know, like if you rush fungicide timing, to me it's not as detrimental. It's not good, but it's also not as detrimental as like, I should have waited a couple days on planting that corn in the ground, because look at the disaster the emergence was, right? Like it just shows up the entire season.
Yeah, and our farm fronts on 3 roads, and just the way the topography is, you can see everything. Like there is no back corner to hide the mistake in. Everybody can see everything at our place. So if you're not patient, everybody knows it.
Yeah, you got to be on your best behavior at all times, is what you're saying.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I had a friend where he had screwed up on some spraying, and a picture was going around social media. And like, who the hell's field is this? And he's like, oh, that's mine. That's definitely not fun. That's not fun either. So
yeah, we're on the road that everybody drives on to go to church. So everybody sees our farm at least once a week.
Oh, that's even the church crowd. You get the church crowd talking now. Like now we're in the rumor mill. Then oh boy.
We got the horses and buggies, we got the cars, we've got everybody.
Yeah, oh boy. Hey, if somebody was to ask, like they were interested in going into farming, maybe they grew up on a farm or maybe they didn't, and they said, hey, what kind of skills or knowledge would the farmer 10 years from now have to have? What kind of advice would you give? What would you suggest?
Oh, I think creativity is definitely high up there, and having that ability to kind of think about things a different way is a huge benefit, and persistence.
Good stuff. And those are important. Those are persistence, not giving up. next year will be better, or spraying will be better than planting was. We're always looking out into the horizon, aren't we?
Yeah, and there's always improvements, right? You've got to have that. You're never doing the same thing the same way twice, I don't think. Or at least I've never figured out how to do that. There's always little tweaks and improvements that you come up with and new experiments. And yeah, so we're part of the Yield Enhancement Network this year. So that's been really neat. Got our soil samples and our tissue samples sent in for that. So it's really neat to be able to track some of that and see, where improvements can be made in the future.
Oh, good stuff. That's cool. We'll definitely check in with you how that goes throughout the year. So, hey, Charlene, thanks so much for taking some time for us here today on the Farmer Rapid Fire.
Thanks so much.
We'll be back with more of the Farmer Rapid Fire right after this. It's now time for a product spotlight, joined right now by Holly Little, Canadian Plant Health's Director of Research and Development.
As biostimulants are better understood on a technical level, they become easier and more acceptable to adopt.
We're hearing a lot more about regenerative agriculture. Where do your biostimulants at Canadian Plant Health, how do they fit into the bigger picture of soil health and sustainability as you've been discussing?
We've seen some great results when we've looked at soil health, and that's a good fit with our biostimulants in regenerative ag because using our products can stimulate the microbiome, which results in enhanced microbial activity and abundance, in addition to the direct effects of the biostimulant on the plant. So this is really great because healthy soils support a productive crop, aid in nutrient cycling and nutrient uptake. In addition, healthier soils with a more active microbiome help the crop to resist abiotic stress. So you really get multiple modes of action, direct on the plant and through the microbiome, and different effects of those. Soil microbes and plants work together to support each other and be productive.
Peter Johnson at Wheat Pete, RealAgriculture.com, and what an opportunity! Oh my gosh! You think you can't grow better wheat? You are absolutely wrong. We're going to show you how to strive for those record wheat yields that they get in the UK and in New Zealand. You can grow 150 bushel wheat. I'll show you how.
Catch Wheat Pete's Word every Wednesday on RealAgriculture.com or download the podcast on iTunes or Spotify. And welcome back to RealAg Radio. Of course, the Farmer Rapid Fire is brought to you by Corteva. And joining us right now is Byrne, who's in Essex, Ontario. Hey, Brendan, how are we doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. You got planting all wrapped up, or what's happening?
No, we kind of had a cold, wet start to the season. So there was a little bit of nice weather the last week in April that some planting happened, and then we got 2.5 inches of rain, and everybody got back in maybe 4 days ago, and now I am currently in a rain delay again. So,
yeah. So what you're telling me is Tigers baseball's off to a much better start this spring than maybe some of your farming.
Yes, exactly, especially that 3-game series against your Toronto Blue Jays.
It was close. Wasn't that a good series?
It was a good series. I think both teams played well, and there's lots to look forward to this summer.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Tigers looking pretty tough indeed. Okay, so the rain delays, we've had some real cool weather across parts of Canada. It definitely has impacted, like you said, some of your planting progress. Relative to the calendar, how does that sit with you? Are we still like, hey, it's early? Or are we like, I'm getting kind of worried? Or are we like, man, we are big time behind the 8 ball? How do you look at this?
No, I think in our case, we've gotten a bit used to this style weather the last maybe 5 to 8 years, where we've been getting more April seasonal weather in May. So kind of cooler temperatures, more rain. And then when we do finally snap out of that, we tend to warm up fairly quickly here and get dried out. So we're more concerned about having those rains to fill out the crop throughout the year and not just getting them all in the spring. But I think most people in this area are pretty comfortable with the calendar right now and not too worried. We've got the longest growing season in Canada in my area, so we've got some time.
Yeah, so you're not in a situation where you're switching out hybrids or anything like that?
No, we would still have full season soybeans. There'll still be some corn going in. Probably we've had it go in right up until June in our part. So we look we'd rather get out of this cold dampness and get a little bit of warmth going. And then if it rains, it dries out pretty quick. It's just, we've been kind of in a bit of a holding pattern the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, it does feel this year like, parts of the prairies were quite warm there. Like Manitoba had a day where they were almost 40 degrees Celsius, over 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
But it's definitely turned chilly. Like, it just feels like a little end of April-ish here at the back end of May. So, hey, do you have any wheat in?
We do not. There is a decent amount around me, some that looks pretty good, some that got taken out because we had kind of a mild winter, but then we had some times where it would freeze up pretty solid with some water laying in fields. So it just kind of depends on what particular area got hit. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, hey, last week we had the cabinet announced by the Prime Minister. From an agriculture perspective, I asked the farmers this question last week. I'll ask it to you. What would you like to see the government do? Like, if there was an agricultural priority, what would it be from your standpoint?
I think in general, it's just trying to maintain the competitiveness of the Ontario or Canadian farmer, trying to make sure that we have access to the tools that we need at a fair price. And kind of the biggest thing that I've always wanted with a minister is just to have the back of agriculture. So go to bat for us when need be, kind of speak up on our behalf, listen to the farmers, seeing what they might need on farm versus kind of just looking out from a tower and saying this is what maybe should be done, kind of that leader role of what can we do to help.
Yeah, it's when I interviewed the minister last week, one of the things I said to him was just one of the challenges is the diversity, right? Like,
sure,
you look at where you are down there in Essex versus, just even Eastern Ontario versus the Maritimes versus Western Canada versus Abbotsford, British Columbia. Well, there's a lot of common concerns, but there's also a tremendous amount of differences too, and that would be sort of information through a fire hose.
Yeah, and I think that is part of the thing is there's such a wide variety across the country that if you can just pull back to maybe try to do no harm and maybe get out of the way of some certain areas or facilitate and allow the farmers to do what they're doing, and maybe in certain instances have to step in and go through those regionalities and such, but it would be near impossible to please everybody with every piece.
How are you feeling about the year ahead?
I think every year at this point, I know there's potential when you're planting seeds, and you kind of have to do it with hope. Otherwise, what exactly are you in for it for? So I tend to always be a little reflective and a little hopeful that what we're doing this time of year will pay off at the end of the year.
How have you kind of handled your marketing? Same as usual in terms of how much you're sold into this market on the 25 crop? Are you ahead of normal or behind? How have you been handling it?
I think we're probably about normal. Try to not panic too much or overreact to some of the stuff that's going on, and kind of stay the course. So I think that as of right now, we're probably about normal for what we ordinarily do. And like I say, just kind of hopeful that the rest will sort itself out and see if there is an opportunity to maybe book a little more at some point.
Now, we're inside the 25 crop year, but if the price was right, like, would you be somebody that would go into 26 and make sales, or you just try to stay in this crop year?
If the price looked right and in indicators, at least like in your own head, maybe, or your own marketing, we're saying, you know what, it makes sense, we would book some. We probably wouldn't be in that overly aggressive for that far out, but we'd certainly take a look at it. And it's hard to predict what anything's going to do from now till the end of the year, let alone the following year. So I think if you do happen to book something, you just have to almost put your blinders on to what happens after and just say this was the right decision at that time. But it's hard to do for sure. Yeah,
no doubt. Okay, question I wanted to ask you was, we got a young person that's interested in going to the world of agriculture. What what do you think the skills or the knowledge that person would have to have in order to be kind of the farmer in, 5 years out, 10 years out?
I think a lot of it relies on that technology and electronics front, because I know even in the time that I would have been starting to do this more full time, which was 20, 25 years ago, it was more just the manual, put the hydraulic down and planters in the ground, away you go. And now there's a lot of troubleshooting on the electronic side that can delay you for a time period if you're not comfortable with it or don't have the right people. But I think that's also an attractive thing to some younger people, because they're coming up with electronics as secondhand and second nature to them. So there's potential to kind of meld those worlds and put it together, and not just be that you have to be the traditional agricultural kid, that the tough kid that gets up every morning and can sling bags of seed. That's kind of past. It's now kind of what can you do on farm with what's coming at you. And there's a lot of electronic and technology capabilities that I think we need even more people going into to make sure that the shops around here can keep everybody moving during busy seasons. Yeah.
Are you good at electronic kind of things?
I have gotten a lot better for electronics on farm. In my regular life, I'm pretty good at like any of the computing things or phone and everything like that. But there was a big learning curve on kind of the GPS and planting systems, and which row is doing this and why is it doing that, or why is this reacting that way. That I think over time you get that experience of you might not know exactly why it's doing it, but you know where to look. And I'm kind of at that point.
Yeah. If all else fails, turn off, unplug, plug back in, turn back on. That's the old.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's the old.
Reboot the iPhone and away you go.
Absolutely. Hey, Brennan, thanks a lot for joining us here today on the Farmer Rapid Fire. All the best to you, and hopefully the weather starts to cooperate, okay?
Thanks so much. And one last thing, go Oilers.
Whoa. I got to talk to the booker of this show. We got to maybe put an X beside. No, yeah, I appreciate that. I could easier cheer for the Tigers than the Oilers, but Dave, who's keeping track of this stuff? We'll be right back on RealAg Radio, Rural Radio 147, brought to you by Corteva. Right after this.
Find everything you need for outstanding weed control in your wheat and barley from the cross-spectrum herbicide experts at Corteva. Corteva is proud to offer a wide selection of cross-spectrum herbicides for maximum convenience, effective resistance management, and customized control of your toughest grassy and broadleaf weeds. No matter what kind of weed challenges you're experiencing, we've got the right fit for your farm. Visit Corteva.ca to learn more.
Canola is more than just a pretty face in the prairie landscape. It's a big business, both here and around the world, that requires you to be informed and up to date on everything it takes to grow a successful crop. The Canola School on RealAgriculture.com has an expert library of video resources covering markets, agronomy, and more to help you grow a healthy and profitable canola crop. Visit canolaschool.com today. Brought to you by BASF Canada and Invigor Hybrid Canola.
I'm Lindsay Smith from RealAgriculture.com. Join me Monday nights for The Agronomist, a 1-hour live and interactive show broadcast across YouTube, Facebook, and X. Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, I host expert agronomists from all over the country to give you answers to some of the toughest agronomic questions. Join us live or catch the replay Tuesday morning. That's The Agronomist with me, Lindsay Smith, Monday nights live at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Up next on the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Corteva, is Aubrey Yule, who is in Killarney, Manitoba. Hey, Aubrey, how are we doing?
Good. How are you doing, Shaun?
Man, pretty good. How are you making out this spring?
Pretty good. We're 2/3 seeded, so it feels good, and we got a nice rain this last week.
Okay, what's in the rotation?
We're doing barley, wheat, peas, soybeans, and canola.
Okay. So you've almost got it all on the ground?
Everything but a field of beans and the canola. So it's going good.
That little bit of moisture this week welcomed?
Oh yeah. It was pretty dry up until then. So yeah.
Yeah, it's been a little cool.
Has, yeah.
Did you get that heat wave though last week?
Oh yeah, we were sweating. It was plus 30 a couple days, and yeah, pretty crazy swing in temperature.
Yeah, no kidding. So how's the equipment been running this spring?
Pretty good. We had one breakdown that shut us down for a day. The seeder tractor transmission hose wore through, so a bunch of oil blew out, and we managed to fix it within that day, so it ended up being okay.
Are you pretty handy with the wrench?
Not amazing. My neighbor's a mechanic, so I get lots of tips from him.
Oh, that's helpful.
Yeah. So we managed to do it ourselves, but it depends on the thing. If it's an engine, I don't like taking them right apart. But if it's something else or minor, I can deal with it.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting how you think back to the farm in 1970. Those mechanical skills were critical. It's kind of it's handy to have, but it's not like mission critical in 2025.
No, not anymore. There's just different skills for different situations.
Yeah. What do you think will be some of the skills in the future needed? Like, what would if there was a young person coming to you and saying, Aubrey, you know what, I want to farm. What in 2030? What knowledge or skills do I have to have? What would you say?
Well, if they're using newer equipment, you for sure need computer skills. That's become very apparent.
Yeah.
And mechanical skills. It's kind of a little bit of everything, honestly.
Yeah, the computer has definitely taken up. It's a lot more prominent in the cab, isn't it?
Yeah, if you lose GPS, it's kind of a situation nowadays.
I have to drive this thing. What am I doing?
Well, yeah, the older guys they're pretty damn good at driving, but we've had GPS most of our farming or all of my farming career, so it's you lean on it pretty hard.
Yeah, the days of people used to judge each other based on how straight the rows were. Now the straight rows are kind of the given.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Now I heard a rumor that you've got a YouTube channel for your farm. Is that true?
Well, it's kind of my life because I thought some of it was entertaining to me, so I thought I'd throw it out there and see if anybody else thought it was interesting or entertaining.
Yeah, and what have you found?
Well, there's some people like it, and a lot of friends and family I run into say that they're enjoying my videos. So I'm just going to keep tossing them up there.
Just keep going. Exactly. Well, okay. Well, here, what's the name of your farm YouTube channel?
It's at Family Farm Fix. It's on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, and it's reels of life as a father of 3 kids and shorts of the farming season, me fixing various things around the house, plumbing jobs, farm machinery, and I try to add a comedic twist to each video. Yeah.
Family Farm Fix, correct?
At Family Farm Fix.
At Family Farm Fix. Okay, everybody's got to check that out for sure. Are you feeling optimistic about the growing season?
So far, yeah, it's always optimistic this time of year, or normally.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. If Mother Nature cooperates here, we're gonna be off to a decent start, I think, right?
Yeah, I would say so. We were having a good day, but I found a moldy grain bin, so and I have been dealing with that. It's not a large bin, but it's a hopper, so we're just trying to get it all emptied and cleaned out.
What crop was in there?
Wheat.
And you said the bin wasn't full? No,
it was about 500 bushels, and it's a 1,000 bushel bin, so half full or so.
And, some sort of leak maybe in there.
Well, the lid was was tight. We never opened it, and it got too high humidity, and I think that's what caused it.
Oh, yeah. There's nothing worse than that sort of like when you discover that kind of situation, right? Where it's like, uh-oh.
Yeah, I found it a couple weeks ago. We're dealing with it now.
Well, I guess you had crop to get in the ground, right? That would take more of a precedent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And do you get some time on the seeder and planter?
My brother-in-law and my sister joined the farm recently, so he's usually running the seeder. I'm usually running the sprayer and bringing fertilizer and seed to him, and then Dad is doing other jobs, harrowing, picking stones, that kind of thing.
You make Dad pick the rocks?
He wants to.
Is there a kid around there you making your? He likes picking rocks.
And well, the neighbor kid's been picking some stones too.
Okay.
So by hand, we haven't put him on a tractor yet because he's pretty green. So we're just doing by hand. So I'm surprised he shows up still.
Oh, the hours that I spent as a kid walking in front of that stupid loader, picking rocks and throwing. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
That was our Sunday job. It'd be go to church, come home, pick stones.
that was your after church job. That's funny. That's picking rocks. Hey, I wanted to ask you. We had the election. We got a cabinet. Ag policy. What would you like to see happen in agriculture? If there was a priority you'd like to see out of the federal government, is there something that comes to mind that you'd like to see them focus on from your perspective as a farmer in Manitoba?
I just wish they would help us out a little bit more than they're doing.
Yeah.
I honestly I don't follow it close enough like I should. It's an ignorance is bliss situation, but yeah, we need a bit more support for sure. Like
better business risk management programs, like to manage some of the risks and the volatility that's out there.
Yeah, exactly. Because the world's a crazy place. The markets are absolutely everywhere. So it's be nice to have some backup from the government.
Yeah. How have you been handling that marketing?
I'm still getting into it. It's kind of becoming my job for the last couple of years. So I've got we've got a company, Ag Chief, and they help quite a bit.
Okay.
So if I go to make a larger sale, or almost any sale, I'll phone them, talk to the guys there, and they seem to know their stuff. They've helped me make some decent decisions the last couple of years.
Well, good on you for taking it on. There's a lot of learning to do, and different. Even when you think you finally understand it, you were reminded that you don't. So good for you for taking that one on. That's a big one.
Oh, you bet. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how to manage the stress of it all, but it's coming.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, Aubrey, we really appreciate you joining us here for the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Corteva. All the best to you the rest of spring here. Get this crop out of the ground, and we'll talk to you when we get a little bit deeper into the growing season, okay?
Sure, sounds good. Thanks,
awesome
Shaun.
Stuff. And we're finding out here is that Mother Nature, not exactly cooperating, but not really cooperating. Yeah, it could be worse. It also could be a lot better, I think, is kind of summing it up from a lot of our farmers. But, hey, we're only halfway through the Farmer Rapid Fire. We've still got a couple more stops, and we'll do that when we come back. You're listening to the RealAg Radio Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Corteva.
We have the financial tool you're looking for. A cash advance from Canadian Canola Growers Association is a financial tool for farmers that offers flexible short-term financing. Borrow your first $250,000 interest-free and the rest below prime. Put your advance to work in whatever ways make sense for your operation. Apply on over 50 commodities. Call our experienced team or visit ccga.ca. Cash advances are made under the Government of Canada's Advance Payments Program.
It's summertime, and you've got a lot of important decisions to make when it comes to your corn crop. Let the Corn School on RealAgriculture.com help guide you through those big decisions with input from leading experts in the field. If it's spray timing, disease identification, or any other field issue, The Corn School's got you covered. The Corn School on RealAgriculture.com. Brought to you by BASF and Pride Seeds.
Up next, we're going to take the rapid fire to Lashburn, Saskatchewan, and we're talking to Devon Walker. Hey, Devon, how we doing?
Hi, Shaun. I'm doing good. And you?
Well, pretty good. Pretty good. And I should mention that the Farm Rapid Fire, of course, is brought to you by Corteva. Find out more by going to corteva.ca. Okay, how are we making on the farm this week?
Oh, this week started out good for productivity, I guess. We're still chewing through some wheat up here on our farm, getting near the tail end of wheat. A little behind schedule as I had a flu bug at the start of May, end of April, and was out of service when everyone else started seeding. So we're making our way along, and then we got rain on today. Yeah, we got rain 3 days ago, and we kind of just been twiddling our thumbs, and today we're getting all the machines ready and fueled up and filled with fertilizer so that we can get going again once the soil allows us back on the land.
How are you moisture-wise?
We were dry before. We were planting most of our crops just right on the moisture, and in need of some rain. The last 3 days here have just been a little bit of drizzle, sprinkles, and lots of wind, and we've got about 0.6 of rain roughly. 0.3 to 0.6 of rain across our farm.
Yep.
So enough to give us some optimism and to let us know it can still rain and to kick the can down the road a little bit. But long term, this moisture isn't going to recharge any, subsoil moisture or anything.
Yeah, sure. Hearing a lot of complaints about wind. It seems like it's been more, and I don't know the data on it. I haven't checked with anybody, but it just feels like it's been windy.
Yeah, well, I don't know. When you're frustrated with stuff, the wind just adds to it, and then you blame the wind. It's kind of a scapegoat for all the other things you got going on. But wind has been, not our friend, and you fight it all day long when you're outside. And it's really slowed up our spraying progress to be ahead of the drill. So we've had to make some judgment calls, or I guess the wind has made those judgment calls for us. So we've done some spraying after the drill and some before. So, we've got our fields definitely written down which ones are getting priority when it comes to in-crop, and scouted extra, and probably the extra chemistry's thrown at it for in-crop also.
You all the equipment working as it should be?
Never. The drill had a few kinks off the start. As always, ran over a deer antler, took out a nice new tire on the tractor.
Oh,
and
ouch.
Yeah, that was not fun. So a couple days of that, farting around with that. Just normal things, Shaun. Some liquid pump issues and seals. Nothing big breakdowns, but just enough. Half a day here, 4 hours there, that kind of breakdown stuff. Just piddly things. And then support equipment like flat tire on the liquid fertilizer trailer, and hydraulic winch on the Aubrey we fill the seed drill with. So now we're just fixing things and just normal things, farming.
You're a liquid fertilizer guy?
Yeah, the drill. Yeah, we were before. I guess we used to do anhydrous years ago as our primary nitrogen source, and then put 1152 down as starter. And when we went to independent opener drills, when we're shopping for used ones, we came across one that we could just switch to liquid nitrogen instead of the anhydrous source, and then still do the granular. And then now we're on our second version, or second go round on a independent opener drill. And shopping for used, it was just available that the one we have when we're planting cereals and peas, we only have the option for liquid fertility on this drill.
Okay.
Just the combination of it, Seedmaster with one onboard tank for the cereals. So we pull a liquid cart behind, and then when we're in canola, we have the option for to put some 1152 starter down, or some MES 15, or a starter with the canola seed, and then the rest of the fertility through liquid. So it's I don't know. There is no one size fits all for fertility and drills out there. So when we shop for use, the one we got checked a lot of boxes. So yeah, we're in pretty much full liquid for majority of our acres.
And
fertilizer.
And you're obviously getting good results too.
Yeah, we're happy with it. You kind of got to change a few things. Liquid's just bulkier, so liquid fertility. We ended up buying a 30 metric ton fluid hauler, like it's an ex-oil field aluminum tanker trailer. And so that's going daily or 2 times daily to the retail or to the yard to get filled up. So it's just a lot more product that you're hauling around, but it's super safe on the seed and very plant available. And it's really nice for blending. If you get partway through the season and, you want to change your blend or something, you can go and pick up a little bit of product and pump it into the tank. You say you want to add sulfur or up your sulfur or phos in a blend, you can just pump it in and circulate it once and you've got a nice blend. So it's adaptable, I should say.
Do you tend to deal with one retail or do you work with a number of them? How do you manage that?
Well, we got a few local retails that are good. Mainly I just deal with one right now. In the past, it's been up to 3, just kind of local ones, and they're all good folks, good retailers. Since COVID, supply has been a little bit more on people's minds, so we've just been pre-buying a little more, and it's just kind of who has what on the shelf when I have the funds to pre-buy.
Yep.
And it's kind of like splitting hairs on dollar-wise. Like, they're all really competitive, and I'm happy with that. And I just don't have an allegiance to anyone. They all treat me well, and they all are good people. So I don't shut anybody out. But, we mainly deal with one local retailer that has been really good to us. So
cool.
That's kind of how that goes.
Good stuff. Hey, we had the cabinet announced last week. I know you follow the political ins and outs from an ag policy standpoint. What would you like to see as one of the priorities of this government from an ag policy perspective?
I would like to see anything ag as a priority. I believe that our new ag minister will be a good ag minister. I think that we were really excited to see Cody Boyce appointed as interim minister there during the election. That was very positive, and it's somewhat sad to see him not in that role now. I don't know the backstory behind it all, but I also don't want to knock the new guy because he'll be good too. I'm told he's a good, capable person. So I look forward to, I guess, working with him and meeting him and seeing what we can figure out and solve. I felt the Cody Boyce really gave some positivity to the ag portfolio that we haven't seen in a long time. We haven't seen in a decade, that kind of vocal positivity from the current government. And moving forward, we've kind of been in a political quagmire for Groundhog Day, political Groundhog Day for the last, 6-8 months, kind of waiting for an election to be called and waiting to see what the U.S. would do and waiting to see what trade would do. And now it's time there's a big grocery list of things we really have to handle. Transport and trade and, not just U.S. trade, but India and China are not friends of ours on the trade portfolio right now. I removed peas from my rotation a little bit out of spite, a little bit out of economics because of the India and China tariffs on our products. So that would be number one. And number two, tackle inflation, housing inflation, real estate inflation, inflation on housing and building supplies, inflation on consumer goods, like the price gouging side of things. That's got to be managed. Just off the top of my head, we could do like a 2-hour show on this. Sean,
we could. No, it's good. Those are all great ones. Absolutely. Hey, Devon, thanks so much for joining us here today on the Farmer Rapid Fire. All the best to you this spring, okay?
Thank you, Sean, very much. I appreciate it, and take care.
Good stuff. That is Devon Walker out of Lashburn, Saskatchewan. We've got more of the Farmer Rapid Fire coming up right after this very quick break, brought to you by Corteva.
If you're involved in the agriculture industry, it's important to stay informed on all the latest issues affecting your business. At RealAgriculture.com, we offer fast, reliable news, information, and insights to help you keep on top of all of the latest in Canadian agriculture. Visit RealAgriculture.com and sign up for our free daily newsletter covering everything from news, agronomy, animal agriculture, and much more. Visit RealAgriculture.com/subscribe today. How's your seed quality? What should you treat with? What about herbicide carryover and environmental concerns? Spring is here, and you've got a lot of things to think about in regards to your pulse crop. The Pulse School on Real Agriculture has information and advice for all these questions and more to help you navigate this season. Brought to you by BASF. Pulse School episodes are available at pulseschool.com, realagriculture.com, or as a podcast on your favorite streaming service. Download the latest episode today.
And welcome back to RealAg Radio here on this Thursday for the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Corteva. And speaking of Corteva, we are joined right now by Linda Hinz, who's the technical sales agronomist for Northern Saskatchewan, of course, with Corteva. Linda, how are we doing?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Pretty good. Okay, what's seeding progress like in your area?
Say that, everybody's into canola. Some have wrapped up a lot, traveling yesterday out to the northeast up towards Crooked River. I would say we were well north of 90%. Seeding wrapped up would be my, driving guess. I do think guys were lucky enough to get some rain this past few days. They're probably not to that point, but we're well into canola and, well ahead of where we would normally be at this time of year.
A lot of customers you've been talking to, like when I kind of separate, probably unfairly, Saskatchewan kind of north and south, and I always think south always super dry, and the north always has adequate moisture, and they have different problems. But I've been hearing from a few farmers in northern Saskatchewan, we're a little bit more on the drier side this year. Is that fair?
Yes, absolutely. I would say, last week and the south, even in some of the more traditionally dry spots that have been missing out on rains for a number of years, they did pick some up. Certainly not enough to be a drought breaker, but enough to give, some grass and fields, some added and needed moisture. It kind of seemed like Saskatoon was the dividing line. East of Saskatoon, the north, if you took that kind of quadrant in the north and the east from Saskatoon, we're still looking for some rain. But, west and certainly south, definitely south picked up a lot, and west did get some as well. So, yeah, the northeast, which is normally not in this position, we certainly would take some rain right now. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's. I hope you get it. Okay, let's talk about some of the challenges. And there's been some issues with trying to get some of that pre-seed burn off done. This is always a tough decision. Okay, what do? Do I just get the crop in and deal with that, before emergence of the crop? Like, what? Not the best case scenario. Pre-seed always better. What are some of the challenges that you've seen with some of your customers?
Yeah, you wrapped it up exactly. The wind has been pretty horrific this spring, and so that really made it a challenge to get out there in the timeliness that normally people would want to. With the cereals being in the ground now for the most part, if a pre-seed wasn't done, I would say that it's going to likely be too late to do your pre-seed. Doing a pre-seed post-seeding in cereals, for our products, we have a very firm within 48-hour window of seeding that it has to be something like a pre-pass or a Corex, a paradigm pre, etc. Certainly I want your customers to reach out to their retails or to their TMs to talk it through. But, that in my mind is done. That window is closed. From a canola standpoint, certainly a pre-seed should be on before seeding, because once you go into that after seeding window, you've now disturbed your weeds, you've got dirt moving onto the weeds, etc. Most of the chemistry that you're going to be doing is a contact herbicide, and if you don't come in contact with those weeds, it's not going to work as effectively as you had wanted it. And obviously the risk is, pushing it and then hurting an emerging crop, a canola crop, etc. So really, it's unfortunate, but I would really encourage people to leave pre-seed as totally pre-seed and not try and push it.
Well, and one of the things that's changed, Linda, from your and my younger years is we used to have more time post-seeding, right? But now with this equipment, it like in our knowledge, we are trying to get this crop out of the ground as quickly and evenly as possible. So we just don't have as much time as we previously did because we've shrunk that plant or seeding date to emergence. We've shrunk that, I think, in a lot of situations with the upgrade of equipment and technology and things like that. So, and as soon as that crop's out of the ground, you're really in trouble because now you've got a young emerging crop that's having to compete with weeds that are well established. Now you're really up against. You've knocked yourself off the optimum yield curve.
Well, yes, but at the same time, we have chemistry now that certainly is very effective on herbicide or on killing weeds, right? So my confidence in the herbicides that we have available for a in-crop herbicide application is really high. Certainly hard to kill weeds can be managed with your in-crop herbicide. And, if you've missed your pre-seed window, not getting your herbicide on before you're seeding, well, then you've still got really good options in your in-crop window to come in and take care of the weeds.
You do, but you do get pushed more to the early side of that window of the in-crop because you can't afford for those weeds to really compete with that crop. Sorry, that's what I meant. So
yes, yeah, no, and you're correct. But again, there's some really good options,
absolutely,
to go on towards the earlier side as well.
Make sure you go to Corteva's website and check out those options. There's some good ones.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Download our field guide as a shameless plug.
Good stuff. And chili, look, it's been a little cool. We were hot about 10 days ago, and now we're having a hard time busting north of 15 degrees Celsius. It's been kind of a challenge.
Absolutely. It's been really cold for the people who were lucky enough to get to the lake on the weekend. I'm pretty sure there was some grumpy people wishing the temperature would rise. Interesting. I saw a couple of pictures yesterday just on some cereal leaf damage from the really cold nights. We had a few nights of subsequent below zero and, touching -3. So had some real leaf damage to some early emerging cereals. In other parts of the West, like I saw some pictures out of Manitoba, it wasn't so much, where the leaf was completely frozen at the tips, but it was more cold stress. So, these crops are kind of like us. They're not responding well to the cold. I think it's going to turn around here and we'll get some, with some moisture. If you were lucky to get some moisture, warm weather, things should get going pretty quick here.
Great stuff. Hey, Linda, thanks so much for joining us here today on RealAg Radio. I do appreciate, love our chats, and all the best to you this growing season, okay?
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Do appreciate Corteva being the sponsor of the Farmer Rapid Fire. Make sure you go to their website. You find out more about all the great pre-seed, but now more and more, of course, based on the time of the year here, we're into in-crop herbicide. They got some great options across all the different crop types, the great cross-spectrum herbicides from Corteva, checking all the boxes for cereal growers. Cross-spectrum herbicides deliver grass and broadleaf weed control in a powerful all-in-one solution. Of course, you can find out more by going to corteva.ca. Now, if you have any feedback on today's program, we'd love to chat with you. We'd love to hear from you. Send me an email, shaney@realagriculture.com, or, of course, you can always leave a message on the RealAg feedback line. We'd love to hear that. 855-776-6147. Thanks, everybody, for getting real and getting connected with RealAg Radio, and we will chat again tomorrow. Cheers, everybody.